Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby, double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby. And today we are discussing After the Hunt and The Social Network. Two higher education campus dramas of He Said, She Said, and Chicken Said.
Have you ever been framed for animal cruelty, Gabby?
Not that I can disclose to the public, no.
And I feel like that won't make any sense if you've never seen The Social Network.
Which, if you haven't seen The Social Network, go watch it. Come back when you've seen it.
Log off now.
Log off. Turn it off.
Yeah.
We have been on a little break, Evan and I. So we want to know what people have been up to. Get at us in the comments. Tell us what you've been watching.
Yeah.
What we should have been covering.
Well, and
we have some ideas, but we've been a little underwhelmed with October.
That's
true.
And
October is usually a big month in movie going. It's the ramp up of awards season. It's always got at least one big blockbuster in there, which I guess this year was supposed to be Tron Ares ?
Yeah, I really think Tron Ares scared a lot of other movies from being in October, to be honest. Like more like scary movies. Yeah,
because there's not another big one really coming.
Yeah, there were, but a lot of stuff did get released this month, right? Like stuff like The Smashing Machine, which we talked about on the podcast. We also had Roofman, which we were considering covering. Mastermind, the new Kelly Reichardt film, which is a smaller film, but with Josh O'Connor.
I cannot wait to see The Mastermind.
Well, it's playing right now, Gabby. It's in its second week.
I have 2 jobs, Evan. I'm a single mom who has 2 jobs and a dog. Loves her dog and never stops. That's right.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, I don't it's been a really interesting month. I guess, like, personally, Gabby, what have you been up to in this little break from the podcast?
As I mentioned, working, because I work retail. I'm a slave to capitalism. We all gotta eat.
Yeah, that's true.
But I have been mostly watching things at home, unfortunately. As you know, as everyone who listens to this pod knows, I prefer a theater experience always, even to watch my trailers. So I've been a little bit absent from the theater lately, and I'm really missing it. And watching things at home, everyone's going to tell you that it's okay. Not to me, not the same. I rewatched Weapons.
Oh,
now
that's
that it's
fun.
been released on HBO Max. That slapped. And I just want to say right here, right now, I knew it in August when I saw it the first time, but I was like, maybe it's not going to happen. I am here to start the Amy Madigan Best Supporting Actress Oscar campaign.
I think it'll happen. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know, because like it was just, there were so many unknowns, and now that it's like kind of solidifying a little bit, I'm like, is there room for her? And also the Academy shared a clip of Amy Madigan as Aunt Gladys on their Instagram page the other day. And I was like, okay, cowards, nominate her. Nominate her.
Hey, that's one social media manager against the actual Academy.
That social media manager should be invited to join the Academy, because she or he or they are doing the work for Amy Madigan and Warner Brothers.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
what have you been up to, Evan?
Watching One Battle After Another for the 3rd time. Was very fortunate to check it out for a 3rd time in VistaVision here in Los Angeles. Vista has been, if you haven't seen it yet, you still have one more week basically to watch One Battle After Another in VistaVision at the Vista. That being said,
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about going and like making an extra trek, like after a late shift at work, like another late viewing just to see it on VistaVision.
Well, this time I don't think they're doing the 11 p.m. So the 8:30 p.m. will be your thing. I think it's actually very funny because you and I had both seen the movie twice, both starting at 11 p.m., right?
Yep. That's
That is,
exactly
I
correct.
think this was my first time watching it not at 11 p.m. So this was a
Oh,
really
okay.
interesting experience.
First time for everything.
Being a little bit more awake and also having seen the movie for the third time, I was like, maybe 3 was enough. I still really enjoyed that. I loved it. And I went with my friend Sam, who is a big PTA fan, and he had a great time. And also it was a Tuesday,
Ooh.
8:30. This is the fourth week the movie's been out, right? And the theater is still packed. Like we showed up an hour early. We're like, oh, maybe it was
Nope.
overkill. Maybe we didn't need to do that. No. We
No, no,
got
no.
the perfect seats, and yeah, and that's been really fun. Otherwise, been just trying to catch up on like TV and stuff like that. I feel like I haven't had.
TV.
Yeah, ever heard of it?
I have. My other job is TV. That's why I look down on it.
My other job. We need bumper stickers that say my other
My
job
other
is
job is TV. I mean, it's true, but also the industry is garbage right now, which we can
Yeah.
talk about.
I mean, that's a
Um,
great segue, right, into some of the movie
yes.
news that we want to talk about this week. The biggest thing that's come out in the last few days is that Warner Brothers has hung a metaphorical for sale sign on its doors. This is kind of like the line that the trades have been running with. As we know, Warner Brothers has announced its split with Warner Brothers and Discovery again. The likely packaging of that, if not confirmed, is that the cable assets, all the TV assets, which would include things like Cartoon Network, are going to go as Discovery, whereas like bigger the movie studio, and HBO, I believe would be with Warner Brothers.
Yeah, with Warner Brothers.
And so they're continuing to work through this kind of like separation, as they're trying to figure out what their next steps are and who are the interested parties, right? Who's interested in the TV side, but more importantly for us, who's interested in the movie side. They have a unsolicited bids is what the line is. And I think over the weekend, a senior and official in the Trump administration also was like, Warner Brothers should really consider that they might not get a deal passed if they don't go with Paramount Skydance, which is an insane thing for a government official to say, that like, this is the monopoly that we'll approve. If you go, this is if you don't go with Paramount Skydance, the antitrust thing's gonna like go in, but if you do go with it, it's all fine. That is insane stuff.
Evan, that's like the least insane thing that our government has said in the past week. Like, what are you talking about, man? Well, speaking of which, not to get political on this podcast, but Donald Trump is now even higher on my shit list than he was before, because he demolished the east wing of the White House where the presidential theater was, like the movie theater in the White House. So fuck you forever to him.
Yeah, and that's many other things to say for lots of things, right? But as it pertains to this podcast,
yes, for many other reasons. But
yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, it's hard to see what the best outcome of this would be, I think.
I don't know that there is a good outcome for this. Like, this is kind of just like, I mean, I saw this and I just like, it's panic mode. It's okay, like we need to press the panic button. This is too much of a monopolization. Like, this would be worse than Disney and Fox. Worse. And like, because it's, because of a library, because of everything. Like, it would be one less place for artists to sell their content to or to sell their scripts, to pitch to. It would just like presumably become like another conglomeration, which we do not need.
Yeah, and it's just like, with probably people in play would be like Apple TV Plus, which they do have a relationship with, or now it's just Apple TV, right? Well, they dropped the Plus.
I guess so, but Apple is also just like, I guess so. They have unlimited money, so they can do that for sure.
My larger point is, right, like people that play like Apple TV and Netflix, like these streamers that are like streamer core, right? Like, do they care about the history put in place by these like, you know, by this like legacy brand, right? When Amazon bought
I
MGM,
mean,
I feel like that is a good case scenario, like a scenario where it's like they don't really care about it, you know, in a certain
no,
sense.
they just wanted a library. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that is the most cynical take to have of any of these places buying or thinking about buying Warner Brothers or Discovery, is that they would kind of just fold it into something else and
Mhm.
make it part of their library. And Warner Brothers is a huge part of just like movie history, like
Yeah.
Hollywood history. And to think the idea of it being folded into some like tech streamer like is really heartbreaking to me.
Mhm.
And just like, yeah, maybe it's too cynical, but I'm like, this is, I mean, we did just get cynical about what our government said though, so I guess it's not too cynical. But yeah, I really think that this is like a signal of like end times for the industry as we know her.
And it's great to be talking about movies during that time, isn't it?
Isn't it great to be talking about movies during a time where movies might like go extinct as we know them to
Can
be?
I pitch you the funniest outcome of who would buy funniest entertainment brand to buy Warner Brothers? My pitch, Tubi.
Roku? Oh,
Well, we
Tubi.
basically said the same thing.
Okay, yeah. Basically, I was like, imagine if Roku City had the Warner Brothers, like they already have the I think they already have the water tower, but imagine if they had the whole studio in the Roku City. They'd be thriving.
Oh my god.
They'd be like, you rejected my Weird Al movie and now I'm buying the whole thing.
I mean, Roku already has the Quibi library, so that's a pretty vast well for them to draw from, you know?
Mm-hmm. As we all know, everyone is up to date. That's what everyone's been doing during this break, right? Is catching up on the Quibi library.
I mean, enough people watch the Kevin Hart show, Die Hart, for it to get a third and maybe fourth season, so that's insane to me. As someone who watched Die Hart season 1 on Quibi. Insane.
I can't process that right now. Evan. I'm mourning Warner Brothers like preemptively.
Yeah. Well,
I'm mourning.
Let's talk about
what will happen to Turner Classic Movies. PTA and Spielberg barely saved that bitch by the skin of their teeth a couple of years ago from Zaslav's axe. But if this gets bought out, TCM, my beloved, she's a goner.
They're gonna do it again. They're gonna rally one more time.
PTA is gonna die on the hill for TCM.
I mean, it's just one battle after another, right?
It's one battle after another, and will it ever stop? Will it be enough?
And that's what the movie teaches us, you know. Well, let's talk about the ways that new technology is now embracing the old, and by that I mean Netflix is partnering with AMC theaters in a variety of ways. It's very interesting, right? It's not new that Netflix has screened their movies in theaters before. It's always been at chains like Regal and Cinemark, and for very limited release windows. So they've announced a couple of partnerships. Most what's the word? The soonest one is this weekend. You can go see K-pop Demon Hunters sing-along version again in theaters, but now at AMC theaters as well. This is included in AMC A-List. It's really interesting that they've done this. I'm going to go see K-pop Demon Hunters this weekend. I'm very excited to see it in a crowd. I like the movie fine, and perhaps we'll talk about it on this podcast at some point. But it'll be really interesting to see it in a crowd setting, and I'm glad that they brought it back. I had a hunch they would, and now it's back even better than before. But not only is K-pop Demon Hunters coming into theaters, but also Wake Up Dead Man, the next Knives Out movie from November 23rd through 29th. You can watch this movie at AMC theaters. And we'll also play it. And I'll also play at the Odeon theaters for those who are in Europe, UK, Ireland, Italy, Germany, and Spain. So this is really interesting. When Knives Out Glass Onion, right? A Knives Out Mystery Glass Onion, when that was screening, did you see that at a theater? I can't remember.
I did. I saw it at an AMC.
Me too.
And that is a movie that I don't love. Like I think it's fine, but I love the first Knives Out very, very deeply. But I was like really excited for Glass Onion and really excited to see it in a theater. And even the flaws of that movie, I didn't care because the crowd was having such a good time.
It was so
like everyone
fun.
was so in it, so wrapped. Everyone was laughing. Kate Hudson was Kate Hudsoning. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that Netflix is releasing Wake Up Dead Man again in the same way that they did Glass Onion. I wish that they would, you know, make these windows longer. I feel like especially with movies like K-pop Demon Hunters and the Knives Out series, it's like, it becomes a question of, are you leaving money on the table? Like, you know, like I know that Netflix has a lot of money and they maybe don't care because theatrical is not their bag, but something like K-pop Demon Hunters, like this was kind of a sparse summer for like blockbusters. I feel like if Netflix had given K-pop Demon Hunters a proper, like, full-on push into theaters, it could have been an almost, if not billion-dollar grosser. That's how big of a phenomenon it is.
I mean, you also got to think about it this way, right? Like, K-pop Demon Hunters is not IP. If it wasn't on Netflix to begin with, would people have gone and seen it? You know, like, what would the market? Because I literally, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to maybe another podcast episode. I think the movie is just fine, but there's something about the music that is so addicting, and the expressions that is so, the way it's animated, it's so well fitting for kids. I just think it's maybe a little hard to market that this is like a big thing for families in a sense, prior to it having existed on Netflix in a way that was like accessible, right? Like the thing that I think that is interesting about these limited windows is that it does drive the people who really want to go see it. It drives them out, and it almost guarantees you're going to make the cost back. That however much it costs them to put it in theaters, you will get the cost back, and maybe at profit, right?
Right. I mean, I think, yeah, I get it. K-pop Demon Hunters was a risk. You know, there's a reason why Sony sold it to Netflix. They saw it as a risk. But, you know, I just think that it became, like, I think it had the potential to be a good old-fashioned, like, word-of-mouth phenomenon, especially for families and kids in a summer where, like, not a ton of kid stuff was coming out other than Lilo and Stitch, which made $1 billion.
You had Lilo and Stitch, you had Elio, which flopped, and then you had Bad Guys 2, which I'm sure did numbers. Yeah,
and I don't think it did great numbers, though. Yeah. And then, I mean, there was the How to Train Your Dragon live action or something, but there weren't a ton of movies for families and kids. So I do think that they kind of missed an opportunity. I'm glad that they are putting it back in theaters so that people can enjoy it that way and in that environment that you're talking about. Like, and, you know, Knives Out also, like, I feel like a great Agatha Christie style mystery movie is best watched in a full theater full of people, like, gasping and, like, clutching their pearls. That's how I want to see it.
And I know, you know, Netflix wants to drive people on their platform, right? That's why the window, another reason why the window is so limited. But, like, for something like Glass Onion or even Frankenstein, which is out in limited theaters right now, right? 2 weeks. Just do 2 weeks, you know?
I know. I mean, well, it's also, like, with Netflix specifically, I think that it's almost like a kissing of the ring to certain directors that they will do this for. Like, you have to be a certain, like, they either have to feel like there's an awards push, but they're going to put this in limited release so that it qualifies for awards, or you have to be Guillermo del Toro or Bradley Cooper or, you know, Rian Johnson. Like, you have to be a big name. Noah Baumbach, I'm sure Jay Kelly is getting a limited release, you know?
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig, they made an unprecedented deal to have the Netflix Narnia movie coming next year screen on IMAX screens in theaters. So, like, I do think that sometimes Netflix is willing to be like, okay, we want to partner with you so badly that we'll give you this. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're right. They're existing to drive people to their platform.
And to wrap that all up, the smallest window of one of these multiple theater partnerships they're doing is that Netflix announced that the Stranger Things series finale will play in theaters as well. Limited theatrical screenings of the final episode will take place in more than 350 theaters in the US and Canada beginning December 31st at 5 p.m. PT, timed to the finale's global premiere on Netflix at the same time, and runs through January 1st, 2026. So Netflix is betting that Stranger Things series finale is going to be so popular that you will potentially risk your New Year's Eve and your New Year's Day plans to go to a theater to watch it. That is really interesting to me.
That's an all-out move.
Mhm.
And that is to me, like, damn, they're really trying to kiss ass to wherever they can because the Duffer Brothers left them for Paramount.
Yeah.
Because they want theatrical, not for
Mhm.
Stranger Things necessarily, but for future projects.
Mhm.
So I mean, I see it as the ending of Stranger Things is definitely going to be a spectacle. They're spreading it out
Mhm.
into a two-part release, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, have you seen all of Stranger Things?
I didn't watch the most recent season. I only saw the last episode because my siblings had it on TV.
Okay, well, the last season is what got me back in. I
heard it's good. Yeah.
I am of the opinion, for the people, just to put it on record, I think that season 1 of Stranger Things is nearly perfect. I think it is.
It's really close. Really close.
It's really close to perfect.
Mhm.
And I think that it should have stopped.
I mean,
at
they
that.
didn't have that much more, right? I think they're pretty much
No.
on record that they like had a world and that it was going to be more anthology series, but they
I
didn't
get
really
it.
know.
It blew up.
Yeah.
I get it. It blew up. There was a demand and there was like a clamoring audience for it. Season 2, I think, is fine. It's a little forced. Season 3 is fun, but it's, again, not necessary and doesn't really move the plot forward enough in any real way for me.
Mhm.
And season 4 got me back in. I started watching it mostly because, shout out to my goddaughter Alex. Alex was obsessed with Stranger Things at the height of like season 3 and on. And I watched it basically because I knew she was so obsessed, and I was about to be out.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
After season 3, I was like, okay, we had a good run, and also between season 3 and season 4, it had been like two and a half years.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, I'm out. But the word was good, and I watched it, and I liked it, and it's really long. The episodes are long.
Yeah,
but I can see why they would want to put at least only the series finale on a big screen, because that budget is big. There's some of those sequences are like, you know, like Sean Levy. That's
Yeah.
I always want to say like Louis or something. Sean Levy directs at least one episode a season. The Duffer Brothers direct, and like there's some incredible action sequences and a lot of like practical effects that are happening that I do think would be cool on a big screen.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of the end of season 4
was huge.
I
mean, that was like a whole...
I mean, again, if they were really smart and really trying to pump this, they might put, you know, season 4 in theaters in limited release. You know, like one episode at a time, I guess, because they're all like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I know.
They're so long.
I wish that if they were more theater friendly, you could totally see like the way that there were like Marvel movie screenings before Infinity War and Endgame, that you could just like run a screen and you just show Stranger Things like for 72 hours or however, or even more longer, right? And just like, play every episode.
We are getting to that point. I mean, I feel like this show specifically is such a good example of how long production takes in the passage of time, because it relied on child actors that are now young adults. But
Millie Bobby Brown is married.
Millie Bobby Brown is married and a mother. Like,
that's right. She adopted a child. That's right,
she adopted a child. Like these are now adults. Yeah. So, you know, I think that, you know, putting those episodes back in a theater, or, you know, pushing them in some way as like, even just for the diehard fans, as like a refresher, like we may have to start investing these long, like hiatuses between shows.
Yeah.
Like I understand like production. I get why it takes so long to make certain things, but yeah, I think for general audiences and fans, like you need a refresher. Like I genuinely may start like in anticipation of Stranger Things ending. Don't know if it's going to be good or not, but at this point I got to complete. I got to be a completist. I'm in, and I'm going to start from season 1 with my partner like tonight.
Yeah, I might have to.
She's never seen it. I'm kind of excited to show her.
I might have to do that too. I'm just so scared of the Demogorgon.
But there's so much to watch. And of course you're afraid of the Demogorgon.
Well, that's TV talk on the movie podcast for you.
Yep.
As we kind of get back into things, some new movies that are coming out. Director Yorgos Lanthimos, whose new film Begonia is out in theaters now, is apparently going to take a break from filmmaking. No new movies from Yorgos.
I don't know if I believe him, but I really hope that this frees up Emma Stone to work with other people. I love Emma Stone as an actor, and I think that her and Yorgos have a great thing going. But please, Emma, come back to comedy. Yeah. Do something else.
Crazier, stupider love.
No, anything but that.
I see you wrote here, Gabby, in the outline, Lena Waithe and Issa Rae are developing a feature script about their friendship breakup. Ooh.
Which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm so in on this. Like I was reading this article and I was like, I do not care if this ever even makes it past a final draft doc. Like I'm in. Yeah. I'm going to be sitting in a theater just waiting for Issa Rae and Lena Waithe to team up on something.
I mean, there's already a movie just about that process that you could make. Like fictionalized or not, documentary or not, like that's so
the prequel.
Yeah.
And finally, Ty West, he of the most recently of the X, Maxine, and Pearl films trilogy for A24, has announced his next project, which is a Ebenezer Scrooge Christmas Carol movie starring none other than Johnny Depp and Andrea Riseborough. Okay.
I love the Christmas Carol format. Never gets old.
It doesn't, but I mean, I have complex feelings about Johnny Depp, but yeah. I don't see him as Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh,
I have a lot of issues with him, like in general, but I just think this is bad casting.
he'll pull a Scrooge out of his ass. That's for sure. I believe. I believe
you. All right, I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna make you review it on this podcast in 2 years.
Oh boy. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Well, let's get into some trailers then, really quick. There's rumors that the Odyssey trailer, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, will be rolling out in front of Avatar: Fire and Ash, and not Wicked, like we initially thought, which is interesting because studio-wise, The Odyssey is from Universal, so is Wicked. That would make the most sense from a brand perspective. But maybe synergy, but maybe, Nolan wants that IMAX. He wants the IMAX trailer release, right?
I mean, yes, but Wicked is getting an IMAX release.
Yeah, but Wicked is not true IMAX. Avatar Fire and Ash is going to be true.
It's Limax.
Yeah.
But I will be seeing Wicked for Good on like a Monday morning at like 10 a.m. in IMAX. Evan and I already have our Wicked tickets, just in case you were concerned.
Wait, what? Did I sign up for 10 a.m. with you? No.
No, that you're seeing it. True. No. You're seeing it on your own, but we have tickets to see Wicked.
I don't think
is what I'm trying to say.
I don't think I have those tickets, Gabby.
Okay, well.
This is great podcasting.
Well, this is just showing that one of us is committed to the schedule. And the other is just flying by the seat of his pants, thinking he's gonna get to see Wicked for Good in a mall somewhere in Los Angeles because everything else will be sold out.
I don't have the tickets. That's so funny.
Better get the fuck off.
I thought we said we couldn't record before Thanksgiving. Oh man. All right. Well, that's a conversation for after the podcast. The only upcoming reservation I have is for K-pop Demon Hunters this weekend.
Not Begonia, because Evan famously says he, quote, doesn't get it, doesn't care.
Sorry,
I think you have to shave your head to get it. I think you should shave your head for the pod.
Maybe. What if that was the reveal? That's why I was wearing a hat. That'd be crazy.
There was an all bald people screening of Begonia last week, and they had barbers on site in case you wanted to shave your head to see the movie in advance for free.
Well, I don't think it was in case. It was, I mean, they were doing it, to get in, you had to be bald.
I just mean in case you showed up and you had hair.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So...
And then they ran out of time, so they just gave people bald caps.
Lame.
Which is lame, yeah.
I would be so pissed if I were one of the people that shaved their head, though, and then they were like, oops, sorry, here's a bald cap to the next person. I would be livid.
Imagine you were the last person that got your head shaved. That'd be crazy.
I'd be so pissed.
All right, and then last trailer really quick is that a new trailer / featurette for the an upcoming Laika movie called Wildwood was just released this weekend. Laika, the studio behind films like Coraline, Paranorman, Kubo and the Two Strings, the stop motion kind of stuff. Their last movie, I think, didn't make a huge splash. I think it's called The Missing Link. But I do want to watch it. However, their re-releases have been very successful in the box office, and I think it's just shown that they have a strong cult following, especially with younger audience that are now adults that want to see these movies. My friend Riley and I went to go see Coraline in 3D because we were both huge fans of it, so that was a great time. There's a Paranorman re-release happening this Halloween, so you can go check that out. Yeah. But Wildwood looks awesome, so I'm really excited to follow that as it comes out. I don't have the release date in the script, but I'm sure it's going to be sometime next year, if not the year after.
Woo! If not the year after.
Yeah, I mean, stop motion, stop motion. Well, let's get into After the Hunt.
The Hunt. Let's hunt.
How did you see the movie, Gabby?
I went to see this at our beloved Burbank 16 on a date night. Half full theater. So and it was midweek. So I was like, okay, decent showing for our middle of the week. But you could absolutely hear a pin drop the entire time. There was not one person laughing, no humor, nothing. I think the only time that I didn't laugh, but then I did immediately panic because I gasped, and it sounded like there's a point in this movie at the end where Julia Roberts is going off and she makes a very funny kind of quip where it's towards the non-binary community, and it's funny, but it's not funny because of the character. And I gasped and I was like, oh, she went there, kind of. And then I realized immediately to the audience that it was going to seem like I was gasping because of the joke. And I was like, no, I'm an ally.
Oh, yeah, I think I also
that was the only noise. That was the only noise that was made in that entire screening.
You didn't laugh at Stuhlbarg? No one laughing at Stuhlbarg?
I was lightly chuckling at Stuhlbarg because I'm always charmed by him. But everybody else stone cold for this movie. Yeah. What about you?
I saw it Friday night. I was actually hoping to test out a new theater on the west side of LA, but it didn't. I feel like if I had gone to it, I would have been in a bad headspace for the movie, which is a little bit on the longer side, a little bit slower. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do it crazy Friday night, watching After the Hunt by myself, sitting as I got to my seat very late. There was only 5 minutes left before the Nicole Kidman ad. The woman who I was sitting next to was fully chilling, shoes off, bag on my seat, just ready to hang out. And I was like, oh, excuse me. She's like, oh, sorry about that. Moved her bag, but then just I don't know, her shoes was still just feet out there.
Was she wearing socks?
Yeah, she's wearing socks. Yeah. which is
Okay,
helpful.
that's like a little better, but still, we need to keep our shoes on in public spaces. Feet are the most disgusting part of the body to me. We need to keep them covered. Like, I don't want to see your feet
Yeah,
out of their shoes.
yeah, it was.
That's just a personal PSA. But other than that, let's dive into After the Hunt because I've got a cassoulet in the oven to tend to.
Incredible. Incredible.
After the Hunt premiered at Venice Film Festival on August 29th, 2025, was released theatrically on October 10th, 2025, directed by Luca Guadagnino, written by Nora Garrett, produced by Brian Grazer, Alan Mandelbaum, and Luca Guadagnino, starring Julia Roberts, Ayo Edebiri, Andrew Garfield, Michael Stuhlbarg, and Chloe Sevigny. Very important, the and there for Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah. Just wanted to note too, this was screenwriter Nora Garrett's first screenwriting credit, the first film she is credited as. So
yes, this was a very hot script a couple years back. It came from the Blacklist. I would love to read an original version of that script and see the differences between what it became. If that gives you any indication about how I feel about this film, Evan, tell me a little bit about how you felt about this movie to start.
Yeah, I thought I really liked the performances and I liked just the visual texture of the film and some of the directing choices I thought were really interesting. I'm not very well watched in Luca Guadagnino's filmography in general. I think I've really only seen Call Me By Your Name and Challengers and his Suspiria remake. So three films that really run the gamut of his style. So this was interesting to kind of watch. I thought this is a very heavy subject matter and very similar to Eddington in a sense. I think the movie is attempting to provide a platform for conversation to kind of interrogate some of the thoughts and themes it's looking into as far as like sexual assault and responsibility and academia in general,
campus culture,
power structure, campus structure, campus culture, cancel culture in general at large. But I just don't know if it was very successful. I kind of like left the movie being like, I was like, did it take a side or take a stance? And if it did it take a weird one? I was like really thrown off. We can talk about the ending on its own, but I was
that's a whole other podcast.
I was like watching it and I was like, I'm here for the performances, but I'm just not quite sure what it's doing or what's going on. Yeah.
I do think that the performances are great. Like, I think that, as you mentioned, like a lot of Luca's visual style is on display here, which I really do enjoy his films. I've seen, I believe, all of them except for maybe his work before Call Me By Your Name. But I really love that he has a style, but he is versatile of that style no matter what genre he's in. Like you can always kind of tell that it's his movie, even if it's a totally different genre. Like his Suspiria movie is his Suspiria movie, and etc. Like Challengers, totally different, but you could tell they're the same director. And I mean, it's notable that this is one of only 3 movies in the past 5 or more years that Julia Roberts has been a part of. Julia Roberts, mega movie star. Ever heard of her? Like, I mean, to be fair, it would be fair for us a little bit to not have been as familiar with her or people our age and below. She did have her heyday kind of when we were like 5
and
like,
couldn't watch and films that we wouldn't be able to like watch or understand, right?
What do you mean? You weren't watching Pretty Woman in the Crib?
I honestly wouldn't have put it past my mom to have been watching that while I was in the crib. Like 100%.
Maybe.
But
like,
yeah. I mean, I just even recently watched Erin Brockovich. So yeah.
Love it. But I mean, yeah, but she's one of those movie stars where like growing up, like I'm sure for you too, like you just knew who she was.
Yeah.
Like, even if you'd never seen her in a movie because you were too young, you knew who she was. She's Julia fucking Roberts. And so she's only been in Ticket to Paradise, which was with George Clooney, which was kind of just like a fun rom-com a few years ago. And she did Leave the World Behind, a Netflix movie a couple years back. And now After the Hunt. She is slated to star in a new movie called Panic Carefully. I personally welcome the return of Julia Roberts. It feels very different. This performance particularly feels like a much different tone for her. Like a much different gear. You know, she's playing against type. She's not the rom-com queen of the 90s from My Best Friend's Wedding or Pretty Woman. She's not even Erin Brockovich in this movie. Like, she is, which I think she's great in this movie. I want to just say that.
I think she's really. Did you watch any of her TV shows? The Homecoming?
No, I know
Gaslit?
she did a couple. I know she did a couple.
Just based on general feel vibes, I feel like that is the kind of like mode that she would be more similar based on what I know about Homecoming. Here. But I agree with you. I think she's really great and it's really strong. I think like has to do there's a lot of, once you realize the full breadth of this character, there's a lot that's going on that I'm sure informs a lot of the things before you know it as an audience, right? Which I think is really interesting.
Right.
Like she plays those holding those cards back like really well, and you always get the sense there's something else going on, but it's not as like in your face, which I think is really cool.
Right. This character that she's portraying, named Alma Emhoff, she is, she's very closely guarded. She's very stoic in nature. And Julia does a great job of playing that, like keeping, as you said, keeping cards close to the vest. And she's very well liked. Seems to be well respected, without having to disclose very much about herself. It seems like you get the vibe very early on that Alma is beloved and she is, brilliant in her way. She's up for tenure at Yale in the philosophy department, and she is beloved by her students. She is worshipped by the fellow staff members. And she just has this reverence without anyone really knowing anything about her personally, like other than her work. She also, she's suffering from some sort of mysterious illness throughout the film, and no one knows about that. But the only person in the film who really knows her is her husband, played by Michael Stuhlbarg, who even he is a little bit on the outside looking in. It's a different gear for her, but I did really enjoy.
Yeah, 100% agree. So how did you feel about the movie overall?
Okay, let me just start by saying we're entering spoiler territory. I'm going to give a short description of this film and then my feelings on it. So, spoilers, you've been warned. This film is about a well-respected professor, Alma Emhoff, who is embroiled between a he said, she said situation that happens between essentially her TA, played by Iowa Debary, whose name is Maggie, and Andrew Garfield's character, Hank, who is a colleague, a professor at Yale, a fellow professor.
Who's also up for tenure as well.
Of course. Yeah. And then she has a mysterious past with him. And what transpires is that after a party, Hank walks Maggie home, and the following day, Maggie alleges to Alma that Hank assaulted her when she was brought home by him. Alma reacts kind of coldly, doesn't, and is put in the middle. Hank insists to her that this is, that he didn't do this, and that this is kind of a ploy of some kind against him, because Hank had figured out that Maggie plagiarized her thesis. Her thesis. I was going to say her tenure, and I'm like, no, but yeah, her thesis. So he's saying like, oh no, this is all a scam. I'm not this person. And she's caught in between while also trying to maintain her relationships and herself, trying to get tenure.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gist of this movie. I would call it, in a shorter summary, Tar for people who are not as smart as Todd Field.
Yeah, I haven't seen Tar in some time, so when you compared it to it, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then watching it, I was like, I think you're being, it's very generous to even put the two
it's
together.
Just like,
they're about different things, though, in a sense, you know?
They are about different things, but this movie reminded me of the scene in Tar where Lydia Tar is like being, like, she's at Juilliard, she's on a college campus, and she is being, teaching for a day, like a guest teacher. And she teaches this student who's very bright, very like, he's the star piano player, pianist studying at Juilliard. And she asks him to play something by, I'm blanking on who it was, maybe Bach or somebody like that. And the guy, the student basically says, oh, I won't play any of him, or I'm not familiar with his work, because he was, wasn't he kind of a bad guy? Wasn't he kind of like, like implying that this man was problematic and I won't play his work, even if he is considered a great master or something like that. And that feels like, this movie feels like that scene, but dragged out for 2.5 hours with no actual point. So, I just don't think that I came down. It's interesting that you said you didn't know where this movie lands, because I think that this movie kind of like chickens out and it does not land anywhere. Like there,
I think that's we're effectively saying the same thing. Yeah.
It's being purposefully ambiguous. I do think that it's supposed to be ambiguous on purpose in the script, but I think that it's the way that it plays on screen and the way that it's played in these performances, it just feels like a cop-out. And it feels like a movie that, if it's not taking a side, it's ultimately kind of saying a lot about nothing.
Yeah, and maybe this is maybe too intense, but like maybe like a little irresponsible, especially to be so in the weeds of like it's after the hunt, right? Like that's the title of the movie. We are spending a lot of time. Andrew Garfield's character, Hank, he gets fired like very quick, very early on in the movie. I thought that was going to be a more drawn out process. And so we're spending a lot of time in that aftermath, right? And like, what do people, who will come forward? Who will say these things? What is the relationship between Alma and Hank, and how, and does their friendships, or, would that change her mind?
Alma is just, Alma is in the middle here, just in terms of her loyalties, because Maggie wants her to kind of be like on her side because of, this thing that happened to her, and because she feels, that, oh, I'm confiding in a female professor, I'm confiding in someone who has maybe had this happen to her, or at least been taken advantage of as a woman in academia. And she Maggie doesn't get the response from Alma that she is expecting, and that spirals out into narrative mess. And then Hank is kind of pulling the personal strings of like, are you really going to take this student's, word for it over me, somebody that somebody that you work with? It's implied that maybe she mentored him at some point. Like, he's pulling a personal card.
Yeah,
and they're both vying for her opinion.
And for a long time, I think the movie, you could say that the movie is really like asking you to consider, like, do you do things in moments like this because of pure optics or because of what you believe, right? Where the movie then kind of walks that back, if you choose to read it like that, is much later on in the movie, as things are starting to settle, as Maggie is starting to get more agitated and looking to maybe make a bigger thing out of this, Alma goes to her waterfront apartment to work, which, man, don't you wish you had a waterfront apartment to work in as well?
they treat it like it's such a
so normal.
shithole.
Yeah, or
I'm gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
like, no, like her husband is like, I mean, their apartment is stunning,
Yeah, it's
beautiful,
so
like
nice.
incredibly, impeccably production designed. And then she's like, oh, I'm gonna be staying at, I think she calls it the Wharf.
Yeah, the Wharf
tonight
yeah.
or something. The Wharf, and I was like, the Wharf. And then she goes to this, I'm like expecting it to be like a dingy, like motel room kind of situation where she goes to write. No, it's another beautiful apartment on the water.
Yeah, it's like a loft apartment with like a redone bathroom, but otherwise like pretty kind of like shabby. Anyways, so she confronts Maggie. I don't remember the exact order of events, but she confronts Maggie in the Wharf parking lot, I think, and then
oh my
does
God.
she walk in? Then she walks in, right? And then that's where she reunites with Andrew Garfield,
Mm-hmm.
who also is doing a great job in this movie.
Was staying there with unbeknownst to Alma.
Yeah.
Like he's been crashing at that apartment without her knowledge because he has a key, which is another big clue that this movie drops a lot of very, very unsubtle hints that part of the backstory of Alma and Hank is also that they had an affair at some point.
Yeah.
We don't know if that affair is ongoing. We don't know how long it lasted. No idea. But he has a key to that apartment. Even in the very first scene, they're very, very touchy with each other. Like Andrew Garfield, as you said, he's really good in this movie. He's kind of doing his best Andrew Garfield, where he's like very, very charming. And like if I were sitting on a couch with Andrew Garfield and he were like just started casually like running his hand up my leg, I probably wouldn't think anything of it either because I'd simply be too charmed.
Yeah,
but
it's fun to kind of
that's their relationship, I guess, and it is kind of painting him as this person that maybe doesn't have great boundaries or that it gets very comfortable with people very quickly because I mean he's also doing this in front of her husband and I was like, okay, is this for a second I was like, oh, are we in a throuple? But no, just an affair.
And also because Michael Stuhlbarg, I forget his character's name. Hold on, let me scroll up real quick. Frederick also like has his hand on like Kim's leg, Chloe Sevigny's character in the beginning too. So I was like, what is going on? Is everyone just really open here? Which is fine, but is that what it is? You know,
that would be fine, but the movie does nothing to establish that. So that can just be our own headcanon because that makes this movie more interesting.
Well, then what happens in this apartment is when they reunite there, he kind of comes clean. Hank is like, hey, I'm still in love with you. Like whatever happened in the past, like it's still real to me, and I've like been waiting or whatever. And there's a moment where he's like so upset about being embarrassed about all this stuff that he like punches a wall really aggressively too, like really props to Andrew Garfield. And so she comes over and comforts him, and then they do kiss, and it's a very well directed, well acted and blocked scene. And because then he basically starts to really push himself onto her, and she's like, stop, and then he will not stop, and it is quite intense for a second too.
It is, and that is when she kicks him out, and she kind of, I think that the movie wants us to believe in that moment that that's the confirmation that Maggie's claims are true, because he's doing to her what Maggie claimed he did to her as well, where like, you know, he kissed her, and at first it was kind of soft, and it was kind of like testing the waters, and then like it got more intense and she said stop and he didn't. So I think we're meant to interpret that, you know, in that moment Alma is seeing that this is probably true. I mean, she does have a moment where he asks her, like, do you think I did this? And she says, I don't. She says, I know you could do this or something.
Yeah, she's like, you flirted with all of your students. Yeah. Like that's the thing where she's like, even though they were friends and had this romantic relationship, she was like, he could have done it. Like I don't know. Like, even if speaking as Alma, right? Like, she's like, I know my student. There's something weird going on with my student, and I know that she's plagiarizing the thing, and I know that he's telling the truth that she plagiarized this paper. Even with that all being true, I still cannot 100% say that you didn't do that. You didn't assault her, which is...
which I think, I mean, the movie does a lot with I think, or wants to do a lot with gray areas
Mhm.
and just exploring the moral ambiguity that comes with being stuck in a gray area. But yeah, I just think that it's not communicated well to the
A
audience,
hundred
and that it
percent.
just it just gets too bogged down in being very self-serious and having these like sort of debates between characters that don't end up in any real result,
Mhm.
where they're talking about, it's the older characters talking about the younger characters, and it's the younger characters talking about the older characters, and it's all
Mhm.
just generalizations, and it's all just kind of like feels like an older person venting about how they don't like how things have changed,
Changed.
or
Yeah.
how we need to, God forbid, hold each other more accountable now. Like, and you see that with the Maggie character specifically and their partner,
Alex.
Alex, who's a non-binary law student, who becomes the butt of a lot of jokes, which, okay, feels like an easy target. Feels like, maybe that tells me a lot about the cultural side that this movie's taking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Like those kind of moments, I was like, okay, so you're not trying to stay objective, actually. You
Mhm.
are taking a side, but you're not, you're too, like, you're too chicken to like put your foot down and say, this is what I think. Or like,
Yeah. And this all gets even messier with the last maybe 30, 25 minutes of the movie, in which it is basically revealed there's been teases throughout the movie with Maggie finding like a weirdly placed like envelope that
Okay,
Alma.
wait a second. Hold on. We need to talk about this envelope.
Okay,
We need to
so
talk about this.
let's give
I need to
let's
pause.
give some context here. Very early on in the movie, the first scene is a party being hosted at Alma and Frederick's house. Maggie, you can tell there's some type of energy between Maggie and Alma. Maggie goes to the
They're vibing. It's
bathroom.
weird.
Yeah, Maggie. Alma says, "Oh, Maggie, if you need to go to the bathroom, don't use the regular one. Use the one down the hall." And
Yeah.
as Maggie's walking through the apartment, she like looks in closets and stuff. It's kind of odd. And then there's no toilet paper. Oh no, right? Everyone's been at a time when they're like, oh fuck, there's no
We all
toilet
been
paper.
there.
We've all been there.
But also I think that it's almost like a character moment where like we see that, like, I think it's almost that she uses the last toilet paper and she wants to put out a new roll. So, like, I think we're meant to think, like, oh, she's still, like, oh, she's down to earth. She's not, like, one of these people that, like, Alma and Frederick have, like, a housekeeper or something, or, like, somebody serving all the food and stuff. So she goes digging in, like, the cabinets looking for toilet paper. And she finally finds toilet paper. But Evan, what is Alma hiding in her toilet paper stash? Can you please tell the people?
She's hiding an envelope taped to the top of that cabinet, or the underside of the cabinet, which contains articles and pictures of a man that when Alma was younger, she framed for sexual assault or for even potentially rape. I think it's not quite clear.
I think it's
because it's in a different language too, because it's in German, I believe.
Yeah.
And
the article is in German, and we do at some point see Maggie trying to translate it. But yeah, the article is written, I think, in German.
And Alma can't speak German. She does. She slips into like a German phrase really easily during the lecture. And as the movie ends, this illness that Alma has been battling with sends her to the hospital. We found out it's like multiple, what's the word? Some ulcers. Yeah, and that have ruptured, I think. And she reveals to Frederick, her husband, that she's like, when I told you when I was younger, I was sexually assaulted by my father's best friend. That is not true. What happened was I was so in love with him. When I was 15, I was so in love with him that I kept throwing myself at him. And he said no until I made it like impossible for him to avoid. They don't go into the specifics of that, right? And they basically go into this relationship. We have no idea how old the man was. We just know that she was 15 years old, 15, 16.
Well, I mean, if it's her father's best friend, we can assume there's at least a 20 to
yeah.
25 year age gap.
And so he breaks off the relationship at some point and is like, I need to find someone more age appropriate. Brings this woman into their social life. Young Alma is so riled up that she basically frames him for sexual assault.
For assault.
His whole life is ruined, and then at some point he commits suicide, and then she basically retracts everything. She's like, I made it all up, but who knows what the details was there without having to go back to the movie and pause.
They don't go into details about it. But again, this is another, like, one, it struck me as very strange as the ultimate reveal. Like,
this is, I think, what makes it stranger too, just to quickly finish it, is that Frederick says, you were a child. It is the adult's responsibility to say no to that. And Alma is like, Alma, now a 50, 60-year-old woman, right? Who knows how old she is? She's like, no, I was and am, present tense, in love with him. I loved him. And he's like, but it was his responsibility to say no. He was the one in power in that sense, right? He was the adult, he's the older person, to protect you. And she's like, but I loved him. And I think maybe this is what you were getting at, but it is so strange for the movie to pull that out at the 11th hour, to be like, wait, it's okay because she was in love? Is that what the movie is saying? Because it's still not okay. And she did a bad thing. And she clearly feels some type of way about that, but maybe not. I think she regrets that they never had a real relationship, Which is not the takeaway. That shouldn't be the takeaway.
No. To me, the takeaway is, like, it's so divorced from the rest of the movie too. Like, it's so loosely tied to the rest of the events of the film at that point, that for that to be the big reveal is from this photo of this character that we've never met. There's no flashbacks, there's no, like, implications of her with an older man, like, nothing like that in this movie. And so it kind of comes out of nowhere, if you like, because also, as we mentioned, this movie is long. So, like, if you forgot about that envelope, you're like, what are you talking about? And I think you're exactly right that, like, that conversation to me is an example of what this movie is trying and failing to do, where, like, they're trying to start a conversation about something, polarizing, and something that clearly a person would have an opinion on, and then going nowhere with it.
Yeah.
Like, so, she's confessing that she loved this man. She's in love with this man, but her husband, I mean, not to give away what side I'm on, her husband is right.
Yeah.
She's a child. It doesn't matter if you were in love with him, baby. Like, you were 15. Like, if this is a 40-something-year-old man, he should know better than to even entertain, like, the flirtations. We never learn how far it goes between the two of them. But the responsibility is still on the adult. It doesn't matter what you were feeling, and not to be so heartless about the love, but I think he's right, and I think that there is, like, this question of, well, she still at the end of that conversation does not believe that.
Yeah.
Like, she still holds her own, that, like, she says that actually what is said in that scene is, she says, I love him, or I still love him. And Michael Stuhlbarg, world's biggest cuck of the year award. he sits there and he says, I love you.
And no response. There's just a shot.
No response.
And there's music playing, and I thought it would go out on that,
I thought that was the end of the movie too. So we haven't even gotten to the weird part of the end of this movie. But that, to me, that conversation, you're right. It's a weird, it's a weird almost endpoint that kind of poorly iterates the thesis of this film.
And how it does relate to the film, right, is that there are multiple times in the movie where it's hinted that Maggie, Io Debris' character, right, Alma's TA,
Has made this up.
Has made this up, but is also romantically interested in Alma, right? And like, is part of this a way to get her attention? Is this part of it like she wants to be with Alma in a sense, and how, like, you know,
right,
that isn't,
she wants Alma's attention, and she wants to like take her away from Hank and break that relationship down. And I mean, I think that would have been a more interesting movie. I was also waiting for the part of this where Julia Roberts where Alma, you know, says out loud that she's kind of glad that Hank got fired, because now the tenure she's cleared. Like, it would have just gone to her, except spoiler, it doesn't, because for some reason, I guess pertaining to her mysterious illness, she uses Chloe Sevigny's prescription pad and writes herself a script, unauthorized.
And I feel like there's supposed to be some link between her feelings about her past tied up with those stomach ulcers, tied up with the tenure stress. But there is just so much going on that, like, the movie chooses to, like, only dip its toes into certain things, right?
There's so much and nothing at all.
Which brings us to the most insane ending of a movie that I've seen in a long time, which is, it flash forwards 5 years into the future after that moment, after that hospital scene where she reveals everything. She is now working probably at Yale still.
She is the dean.
She got promoted
of humanities.
Yeah. She is
after being told that she was like denied, or like she's denied tenure indefinitely. Suddenly 5 years later, she's the fucking dean of humanities. She's sitting there in her cushy office watching, just to make sure that you know that this is present day. Very, very tastefully done, like screen next to her where she's watching coverage of the LA wildfires from this year, and just being like, huh, like doesn't say anything.
She goes,
like,
terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, right. She's like, oh, awful. I was like, thanks, girl.
Also, wait, this is also a universe where COVID never happened then, because it was 5 years. If we're watching this year's LA fires, then 5 years ago it would have been 2020. All the stuff that they were doing. This is either a world where COVID never happened, or it's pre-COVID but it's not, because it's warm out. Yeah.
It can't be.
So
no.
yeah, Luca, COVID denier in this universe. Make it a list.
Luca.
Make a list of movies set in real life Earth 2020 in 2020s where COVID has not happened, and this is top.
Hey, Eddington, COVID
happened.
COVID happened. COVID happening.
Yeah.
But it ends kind of, and she's like reading an email, and she gets an email from Maggie that's kind of like, "Hey, was nice to see you. Not sure if you actually meant that it was nice to see me, but would love to catch up. Like, let's get coffee, girl." So they go to this local restaurant that it's previously in the film. Like,
apparently it's a pretty well-known Indian restaurant around Yale, and boy howdy did it make me want Indian food when Andrew Garfield ordered all that Indian food.
He ordered so much.
I was like, is that a normal amount for one person to order? Because if so, then I'm at a good place. Oh, okay. I gotta adjust my order then. This is Gabby get Evan to eat more vegetables train.
Yay. And they meet up at this restaurant, and they talk for like
single take.
I want to say single take.
Never cuts.
It's
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just them being like,
girls,
how's your life? Up. Yeah. It's literally just them being like, how's your life? What's new? Are you still married? Like Maggie's like, are you still?
It's like exposition dump.
It is, but at the end of the movie, she's like, she like sees her wedding ring. Oh, you're still married? Yeah. And then Io has an engagement ring, and Alma's like, oh, are you engaged to Alex? And I was like, no, that ended. I'm with another woman, like a new woman now. She's
Yeah.
in art or
Who
some
also
shit.
is like
And
older too. She's like 20 years
yes,
older.
she's in older.
Yeah.
So we're the people like again, it would have been a more interesting movie to me if Maggie's feelings for Alma were more explicit.
Yeah.
Or her like wanting to either emulate her or be with her were you know, not subtext but part of the film.
And that's the line that she uses at the end, right? She says it.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, you know, back then I didn't know if I wanted to be you or be with you, and I think it just was confusing."
Yeah, that's literally what she says. And they mentioned that Hank is like, you know, like many, you know, quote unquote canceled men, has failed upwards somehow and is now like making a fuck ton of money being a political aide, I think, or like writing for campaigns, but is no longer in academia, obviously. But yeah, they just have like a 5-minute like chat, just like a little chat, and then they go their separate ways, and that's that end of the movie.
Well, she says she has a really interesting line where she was like, I think Maggie Debris' character says like, "Well, it all worked out. You won in the end, right?" And something like that. It's like there's and then she
like
looks
that,
at and then Alma looks at her very like what like peering at her as she walks away. That? And so, yeah, in the movie's just really
like who won? I mean, I just
everyone lands on their feet, right? Is it saying that like none of this is like as long as the person who went through the events feels fine about it at the end, then everything's okay? Like, is that it?
I also think that's generous. Like, I just don't think that I think this movie is fascinated with having a point of view and other people's point of views and how they clash in the modern world, but is not committed enough to any particular viewpoint to come down on a conclusion. There's no thesis to this movie.
Yeah. I mean, part of this will kind of like segue into our like last point here is like, part of me feels like, is this in some way like a somewhat of a response to Call Me by Your Name, but also the Luca's Desire trilogy in general, right? So I haven't seen those first two films, right? Call Me by Your Name, really interesting because you have Timothée Chalamet's character, Armie Hammer's character. There's only supposed to be a 7-year age difference between the two of them. Timothée Chalamet is 17, and Armie Hammer is 24. Oliver and Elio Oliver, whatever their names are. Armie Hammer looks much older, right? So I think the film in certain circles has had criticisms of like, whoa, this older man is really taking advantage of this boy, right? And I think what that movie is trying to almost, I think it's fun, you know, I think it's fine to be, you know, if you're into older people, right? There's an age gap. When you are adults, that is fine. You can work through these things. But when there is a person that is older and the person is younger, a physical minor, and those feelings get muddled, that's where things get really interesting. So part of me was like, is this Luca kind of responding to that, to be like, have been like, you know, Armie Hammer's character should have been more responsible about all that stuff that happened that summer, and maybe that is the takeaway. And because Michael Stuhlbarg's character in that movie, I very much remember where he was like, when I was younger, I had a relationship that I really, really cherished, and I always like not regret it, but he's like, I think about that all the time, like what could have been, you know, and like it's nice that you had that experience. And I do think that is a little too prescriptive in a certain sense when it is a minor with an adult.
Yeah. Again, that's really nice sentiment if it's two minors or two adults. Like, you know, but you know, I think that's an interesting approach. I do think that, you know, what is similar to me between Call Me by Your Name and After the Hunt is this kind of theme of yearning. But I think that it's done much better in Call Me by Your Name and much more explicitly. I think that it's way too under the surface in After the Hunt to almost even be detectable, although the actors are trying.
And I think it also maybe punishes the yearners in a sense. Like, it's like, what happened when you yearn too far, you know, and you did something and the perspective that you can you shake this thought or not, right? Like I maybe even talking this out loud right now, it feels like maybe Maggie has really worked through all of her feelings about Alma, but in different ways. But Alma maybe still has never worked through all of her feelings about the man that she was in love with, right?
I
And there
mean,
is this type of like, oh, does the younger generation have it better because they get to like mess around?
they get to have therapy. We get to go to therapy and
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about our feelings. But I mean, I think that's very interesting, and I think that if that is what is meant to be taken from it, I do find that interesting, and I would have liked that to be explored more.
Mhm.
Like I think that makes them more compelling characters, better relationships to watch. But again, it's not really there.
Mm.
But generous of you to interpret. This movie, I mean, in terms of the actual filmmaking of it, also feels like a bit of a deviation. For Luca, for me, I feel like you were saying you're not as familiar with his filmography. I've seen, I believe, all of his films, and you know, for since Call Me by Your Name, that was kind of his breakout into mainstream or like even auteur world of film.
Mhm.
Um, and until now, he's really made these gorgeously shot, methodical movies about longing and yearning and relationships. I mean, Call Me by Your Name, Bones and All, Queer, even Challengers is like a really energetic, horny version of yearning for something you can't have.
Yeah.
And I personally preferred that, but there have been some film bro allegations for years about Luca becoming more of a director for hire rather than an auteur filmmaker. Or at least the auteur that Call Me by Your Name kind of set him up to be. I
Mhm.
think Queer kind of explores, like, Queer felt the most Call Me by Your Name vein to me that he had been in a long time. But Challengers made me think he was trying to branch out and take that exploration of yearning and relationships to a wider audience.
Mm.
But which would be totally fine.
Mhm.
Great movie. But between After the Hunt and all of these projects that I'm not sure if you're aware, has been attached to and unattached
Mhm.
to for like 5 years. Like Luca he's like, I feel like every other month there's a Deadline article about something that Luca has in development
Mhm.
or something that Luca has dropped out of.
Yeah.
And I just makes me think, yeah, like that After the Hunt feels like a director for hire movie. It feels like something that he read the script, maybe thought that it could be polarizing and interesting, and that he could get big stars to be in
And
it.
has a Venn
Uh,
diagram of things he's interested in too, right?
right. It has a Venn diagram of things he's interested in. I just think that his auteur powers are best used when he's focusing on like one topic or
Yeah.
like one question, like one thesis statement.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just spread way too thin and it doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
for this movie, I tend to think that that's a script issue. I think there are a lot of script issues in this movie. If I'm being candid, I do think that it seems to me, this is purely speculative, but I said to my partner when I left the movie that it feels like the Iowa Debris character was written to be white at some point. Like it does not feel like a character that is genuinely written to be a person of color. Like there's a couple of throwaway lines that kind of allude to that and what makes her a minority, but at the same time, she's from this like family of billionaires that donate to Yale every year. And you know, she's incredibly privileged in all these other ways. And I think that's part of the movie that I would venture to guess that Luca wanted to add that layer
Mhm.
to the movie, but I don't think that it was original to the script, and I can feel that is the speculation that I'm willing to put in the public.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. It definitely had crossed my mind before, but Yeah.
You were too chicken to say it on the pod. Not
No, I think
me.
I walked away
No.
from it in the movie thinking like, no, I think it's more
Mm.
interesting.
I think it's more interesting, but I don't think that the script went like I think they just cast her and then
Mm,
added a couple of lines that were like, I'm a black woman. Like I don't think that they actually went back and did like a character pass on the
sure,
script to
sure.
yeah, like a full like it needed a full character pass after you cast Io.
Yeah, I could see that. Um, yeah, so it definitely an interesting one. I feel like I think if you are someone who wants to write a script about some heavy topics and you maybe want to not take a more controversial stance, but at least take a stance that maybe like, present new ideas to people. I think this is worth checking out is like maybe a cautionary tale, but even just the way that like it's just like a
Yeah.
lot packed into this that isn't really executed as cleanly as it could be from a story level.
I
Yeah.
mean, just yeah. This movie just needed to take a stance.
Hmm.
Like, I think it's way too seduced by the idea of like the conversation around having a stance and
Hmm.
what your stance is that it forgets to take a stance. And I think your script can be about anything. It could be the quote unquote wrong stance, but as long as your movie backs it up, let bring it on.
Yeah.
I want to watch it.
Well, this
And
yeah, this movie, I mean, is there's a lot of like he said, she said. There's a lot of like maybe unreliable narration on a Ivy League school. It got us thinking about some other campus drama movies. Of course, we're pairing this with The Social Network.
cinematic classics, a modern classic, The Social Network.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about this right after we switch our backgrounds.
All right, so we're gonna change our backgrounds now. Some really incredible shots from The Social Network, of course, but also, hey, thanks everyone for watching. If you've just discovered us from our One Battle After Another podcast, thank you for tuning in and giving us a shot for listening because we saw, you can see the view numbers. A lot of views on that one.
A lot of views.
So thanks for tuning in. Would love to hear if you're a new viewer some of the some of your favorite movies from this year. If you're not a new viewer, what are some of your favorite movies from this year? And also, what are you most looking forward to for the rest of the year?
What should we cover?
Yeah.
What are you upset at us that we didn't cover?
Someone's gonna be like,
us.
I only subscribed because you said you would cover Tron Ares at some point.
I never committed to that. We can go back in the tapes and you were like, there is you saying like, maybe we should do Tron Ares. And I am saying like, if I have to sit through Tron Ares, I'll do it. But I didn't have to.
Did you?
Because Jared Leto, when are we done with him yet?
Yeah,
like,
we're done.
Like, we're done.
No conversation.
We have to be done.
We're done. I will say, just a funny thing. Tron Ares. Ares is the Roman god of war. The Greek god of war, Mars. Jared Leto, 32nd to Mars. That's why the movie got made. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Look, I'll get you a cork board and some red yarn.
Yeah.
For our next pod.
30 seconds to yarn. Okay. Anyways.
Oh, God.
Anyways, all right. Well, here we go. Movie 2, The Social Network.
The Social Network. This movie premiered at the New York Film Festival September 24th, 2010, and was released theatrically on October 1st, 2010, directed by none other than David Fincher, written by Aaron Sorkin, and based on the book The Accidental Billionaires by Ben Mesrich. Produced by Scott Rudin, Dana Brunetti, Michael DeLuca, and Sean Chafin.
Starring Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake, Armie Hammer, Max Minghella, Brenda Song, Rashida Jones, John Getz, and many, many more. This was nominated for a lot of Oscars, and it won
a lot of Oscars.
Best Adapted Screenplay, Original Score, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, Nine Inch Nails, of course.
Who also did the music for After the Hunt, which is crazy. But yeah,
I didn't even make that link. That's funny.
Yes, another link.
Yeah.
It's not just a campus drama starring Andrew Garfield. It's also scored by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yeah. Also won the Oscar for Best Film Editing. Box office bet. The Social Network made $224.9 million. Imagine that. An adult drama.
Mm. Mm.
200
Imagine
million.
that.
Worldwide so far, After the Hunt has made 4.9 million, around 2.5 million, sorry, both domestic and internationally. It's hard to tell if this is good for the movie. It's not a lot of money in general.
No, I don't think this is good for the movie.
Yeah.
I think that this movie needed like a word of mouth award season kind of hype. And I just don't think it's gonna get there. I think it's just gonna be a movie that existed. Maybe it'll have a second life whenever it gets on Amazon Prime, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like people are like going out to see this even just to see Julia Roberts.
Yeah, I don't think they really know.
Which you would expect.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, how do you sell a movie about campus sexual assault, right? Like already it's a hard sell.
You sell Julia Roberts. You sell Julia Roberts in like a dramatic role for the first time in X amount of years and her return to the screen. Like there's a way. They just did not do it. But I have notes. But that's why we started a podcast.
Well,
The Social Network is an incredible movie. I love it much more than After the Hunt and most other movies. It did win those Oscars that you mentioned, and crucially, it lost Best Picture, it lost Best Director, and it lost Best Actor. Evan, what movie do you think it lost to? All of those awards.
Oh, I have no idea.
All of those awards to the same movie. In 2010, let's just see.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
No?
Nope.
Well, maybe it's because that movie was The King's Speech.
Oh my god! The King's Speech. We watched that in English class.
A movie that has never been spoken of again, maybe after 2010. Real big flop from the Academy on that one.
Yeah.
No Oscar for David Fincher. Instead, we gave it to Tom Hooper, who went on to direct The Danish Girl and Cats.
Yeah.
Cats.
And he also did Les Mis, right?
Yeah, jail. He should be in jail for all of these movies. Jail. Not just director jail, regular jail. But Jesse Eisenberg lost to Colin Firth. And yeah, Best Picture lost to God knows who the producers of The King's Speech were. Probably Weinstein.
Probably.
Probably Weinstein.
If you don't know what
I find that to be a crime.
Yeah.
I find this to be a crime because this movie is not only impeccably made, impeccably written, but it is still relevant today. Like it is still as relevant today as it was in 2010. It has gone on to have, like a really long life to the point where they're making a sequel to it, which we have been tracking on this podcast. And if you have heard us talk about it before, you know that I hate that idea. Mostly because I think that this is a perfect movie that doesn't need a sequel. And yeah, I just think that this movie has such an incredible balance between its writing and its directing. Like especially like Aaron Sorkin is an incredible screenwriter, one of the greatest to do it. I find him to be an abysmal director because there's no one there to like reel him in, like hold him back. And David Fincher is an incredibly meticulous, methodical, like purposeful filmmaker. Like if you've heard any stories about him as a filmmaker, it's that he does like, 100 takes of somebody picking up a pen. Like he's that kind of director. So I think that marriage of like Fincher being there to reel in all these details about this story and really just make it the talkiness of the Sorkin dialogue, just whiz bang kind of, with the visuals and everything. Like it's such a masterpiece to me.
Yeah, really sees the potential of like how to make kind of like people talking in rooms about really boring stuff, like about coding, about money, just much more interesting than it should be,
Rowing
crew, yeah.
Yeah.
If for some reason you don't know, The Social Network is a movie about the creation of Facebook. It is crazy to watch this movie in 2025 and think about what Facebook has become as Meta.
Yeah.
But so to divorce ourselves from that and just to think about Facebook
We're
when
not
we were growing
thinking
up,
about that.
when we were growing up as just
Mhm.
like a place to, you know, chat with your friends and RSVP to events and things like that.
Yeah. Facebook, huge when we were in college.
Yeah, really
a Facebook
big.
party event.
Yeah.
The amount of party events that we like had to subscribe to, or like
Mhm.
Facebook pages for student films, crazy.
Yeah.
It was at its peak.
Yeah.
I think when we were in college, and now it's kind of like, even, I mean, I don't have Facebook anymore. Like, I mean, it's kind of, yeah, when you think about it in 2025, it really is like, I wonder how it will be as a time capsule then to like, to the younger generation that doesn't have Facebook at all. Like, what if it'll even make sense to them,
Mhm.
or like whether this holds such a special place for you and me because we're so Facebook familiar.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about the movie is just those overall, like, the character themes that it and the social themes that it kind of imparts, right? Like, you have Jesse Eisenberg playing Mark Zuckerberg, determined to make this platform because he long tail the movie, spoiler, it's mostly because he like
Spoilers.
wants to, you know, impress this girl, and a girl who rejected him. Is
Mhm.
kind of
A
what
girl
the
wronged him. Yeah. How dare she?
so what
How dare
what
she?
drives creative people? But there is also this idea, right? It's like, how do you create something that people want? You want people to feel a part of something. You want people to feel like they're missing out on something, something that is cool,
Mhm.
exciting, right? Like when there's these new apps that take off on our phones, you know, people always like, oh man, maybe I should get that. Maybe I should download that thing and see what people are interested in. And I think for a younger generation, it might be interesting. It's funny, obviously, to be like, oh, everyone was that excited about Facebook, but to also liken it to a thing where it's like, oh my God, all my friends have TikTok and they love it. Maybe
It
I
is.
should get
It's
on that
literally
too.
it's
You know?
that. Mhm. It's that.
Yeah.
And there will continue to be like a, a cycle of these
Mhm.
until like generation beta or whatever comes after that eventually is like, wait a second, all of this sucks, and there's a huge backlash, and we're all probably living off the grid by that point. But or dead. We'll
Or dead,
probably be
yeah.
dead by then, Evan.
We'll be chickens eating chicken.
Yeah, chickens eating chicken. My grandchildren will be like, what the fuck was Meta? what were you idiots doing
Honestly,
on Meta?
it's more likely that that Meta takes over everything and they ban this, and it's like a Fahrenheit 451 situation.
Evan, don't rile me up like this. But
the sacred text. I mean, because another thing to say, right, is that like this movie, David Fincher and Aaron Sorkin, I think, have both been pretty vocal that this movie is not supposed to be like incredibly historically accurate. There's a lot of events.
It's not.
There's a lot of events that are
based on the book.
Yes,
but
a lot of events that have been dramatized. Certain situations didn't kind of like happen the same way. Even like I think Justin Timberlake's character Sean Parker, who found a Napster. I think Sean Parker has been like, that's kind of not who I am, but it's cool that Justin Timberlake played me. That's pretty cool. You know, so stuff like that.
Is it? But okay.
At the time he said it, when Justin Timberlake was like,
at the time. Yeah. And now it's just he ruined the tour. But the world tour. This movie has an incredible Andrew Garfield performance in it.
So good.
He almost like, this is one of his, it's like his breakout role.
Yeah.
And Eisenberg is great as Mark Zuckerberg. I think like he was robbed of that Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
He was absolutely incredible. But there are scenes where Andrew Garfield is blowing him off the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the nature of the story, right? Yeah. But also just the performance level is so intense between them that it is that what you're talking about of like making people in rooms or like talking or arguing, mm-hmm. like so like literally explosive, like and emotional. That's something else that I think After the Hunt just doesn't have any emotion in it. And I know that we're supposed to like,
right? Yeah.
Well, it's it's through Alma's point of view, and she is this very detached character.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we're not really given anyone else to latch onto emotionally.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that the Andrew Garfield character in this movie very much is who we're attaching onto
Mhm.
emotionally. So when, you know, Mark Zuckerberg does him wrong, as he did in real life,
Mhm.
we feel that. We feel that gut punch, and we feel that moment where like Eduardo is screaming at him.
And it also makes the moments where Mark Zuckerberg is more you can feel more empathy for him, makes those moments more impactful, right? When he tells Sean you didn't have to go so hard on him, right? And like you really feel that a little bit more, especially in those moments where you kind of is sitting with himself. And also like some of their interactions in the courtroom when they kind of refer to each other as friends and when they don't and stuff like that. Very interesting. Just looking at Andrew Garfield's filmography, the movie that he put out before this one was a movie called Never Let Me Go. It's a movie with Carey Mulligan and Keira Knightley. It's a sci-fi grounded drama. I saw it recently. I don't want to say too much because if I say the concept, it's already kind of like a spoiler. But it's very interesting because in that movie, it's 2010, right? So he's kind of like not a scene kid, but like he's doing the kind of like emo guy, kind of like, oh, I'm a shy little guy, but like I've got feelings and I've got blah, blah. And then to know that this is the second movie he did after that, or at least that came out after that, the way he can turn it on, and just thinking about some of his performances from recent years, like We Live in Time, he's incredible in that. The movie is like fine, but he's really great in that movie. And so, you know, I'm really interested, like, as kind of we grow up and like we get older and he's like, you know, continues to take on more film and TV roles, like what is he gonna be, what's next for him? Like you know,
I'm even like I'm a defender of him as Spider-Man.
People love his Spider-Man.
I think those movies are garbage, but I think that his Spider-Man is incredible. Like I think he's great in that role. But unfortunately those movies are bad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
Toby's my Spider-Man anyway. Sorry.
There's an interesting kind of like link too between The Social Network and After the Hunt when you look at kind of like unreliable narrators and like the way the story is being told. Whereas in After the Hunt, we are seeing things like you said from Alma's perspective. We're hearing like how she's interpreting stories being told to her. We are in The Social Network being kind of thrust around in time and space from different people's perspectives. And then, like, especially this is only my second time watching the movie, second or maybe third. So really thinking about like, oh, this scene that is going on right now, if we don't cut back to a legal procedure, we don't know necessarily whose perspective this is being told from, which helps the movie stay kind of in that more like, it's a biopic, but it's not a biopic. You know, it's based on true events, but it's not based on true events. Yeah.
There's a gray area. And I mean, it's a narrative gray area that makes the movie more compelling. It makes you think like, I mean, I don't really care if this is how it happened. Like, like it's so good that it's rewriting history at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Like how many people are going to actually read the book, The Accidental Billionaires? No, they're just going to go watch The Social Network.
Now I might.
And they're going to say, you might?
I might at this point.
Well, you're going to have to do it before the sequel to this movie drops.
Yeah.
So to be our correspondent on that.
It doesn't even matter because the Social
matter.
Reckoning is what? It's based off a Washington Post article, right? I believe.
It is. Yeah. Don't you worry. There have been reports this week that Aaron Sorkin is currently in Canada recreating the January 6th riots for the movie. So if that gives you any indication of why I don't want that movie, please understand.
Someone just make a movie about the background extras in that. Like, that's so funny. That's
Jesus
crazy.
Christ. Like that's my feelings. I don't know. But I don't know. The Social Network, yeah, it's fascinating how it portrays campus culture as well, and how it portrays like this, you know, origin of Facebook as just like an exclusive place for, you know, not like the elites, but like the Ivy Leaguers at least, you know. and how it gradually opens up and becomes more populist, and how it becomes something that more and more people have opinions on and stakes in, and people who want stakes in it, like the Winklevoss twins, played very well by Armie Hammer, who is one person playing twins.
Shout out Josh Pence, I believe, is his body double.
Is his body double? Yeah. Good for him. Great work.
Let me make sure I get it right. Josh Pence, I believe. But
great work from that body double.
I really did feel like I forgot how much that their plot is so interesting, because like in the lawsuit, Mark Zuckerberg is like, you guys, like, or someone says like, you're not suing me. You're not suing me because you want the idea. It's just because things didn't work out for you for the first time.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really interesting part of the movie that just totally missed me.
It's speaking to this sort of entitlement. And I mean, I think it's done better in The Social Network than in After the Hunt. Because they are definitely exploring that idea of like the entitlement of these younger, students on campus, who come from places of privilege. But I think that it's done better in one line in The Social Network than it is in like a whole 2 or 3 scenes in After the Hunt, just like the way that line is delivered even is like such a punch in the throat. Like it's such a like, you babies, like somebody told you no, and now you're going through all this effort and like wasting all this money trying to sue me for what?
Yeah. I mean, the credit gut punch of them being like, the Winklevoss twins rode for the US team in Beijing and they placed 6th. Oh my god.
Sixth.
Yeah.
6th.
I feel like there's probably video essays comparing The Social Network to Fight Club, right? There must be some type of like thing,
absolutely,
of just like the general masculinity and power, and like we've said a few times, just like exclusivity and like the cool factor of like belonging in a club, or a thing like that, and like what men and are the seeking,
right? The relationship between men and women, and what seeking the approval of a woman or the attention of a woman will do to a man. Like this movie has an incredible, like one of the most satisfying bookend scenes that I can think of, where like it opens with this incredible scene with Mark Zuckerberg on a date with Rooney Mara's character, who I believe is I don't know the name of that character. Erica Albright. How could I forget? Erica Albright. She's on a date with him. He is being an asshole. He's being a jerk. He's being a little insufferable. This is me like giving somebody coaching people on how to be on a date. Don't watch this scene and do exactly the opposite of what Mark Zuckerberg is doing. And you'll be fine. You don't have to create a revenge app. You'll be fine. So she rejects him, and she says, calls him an asshole and thinks he's self-involved and all of this stuff, and he like goes and creates Facebook as revenge. And then the whole movie happens. At the end, he's on his own platform that he created. He's on Facebook, and he friend requests Erica Albright, and it just says like pending, cut to black. That's how you end a fucking movie.
It's so good. It's so good because it's
so satisfying, and like because it still shows that he is like, even after all of this, after all of that success, he's still looking for that. Yeah. He's still looking for that validation. He's still looking for somebody, but specifically her, specifically somebody who rejected him in a way that the wound was that deep, to tell him like, virtually, like through his own platform, like basically giving him a thumbs up, like an okay buddy, you did okay.
I know. But when she says have fun with your video game, oh, brutal.
I've said that to men. I've definitely said that to a man before. If a girl says that to you, it's over. So you know.
Oh no.
You have like half an hour to fix it from that point. You have like half an hour to drop your video game and fix it, is my advice.
Any last thoughts on The Social Network?
Just that everyone should watch
It's
it,
great.
and that
Yeah.
we should all be more vocally against the Social Reckoning sequel.
I don't even think it's good. It's like to me, it doesn't even feel like a sequel. It's just its own movie. Like at
I
this
don't
point,
think it's a No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it can be a direct sequel because Fincher is not doing it.
Yeah.
And to me, that speaks volumes. Like if the director is not returning, that's bad. Like to a movie that was this successful, at least.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a movie where the pairing of the two of them was this successful. Like Aaron Sorkin is just too high on his own supply at this
And you
point.
also have
Like,
such a great vehicle of like moving through that story of like this lawsuit. Like, how are you gonna do that in the second
with
one?
I guess he's gonna do the newsroom. I don't know what he's
that's
gonna
exactly
do.
what I was
Like
gonna say. Yeah.
he's gonna do like the newsroom, but with Jeremy Strong as Mark Zuckerberg instead, and
Oh, we also I think we
Jeremy
mentioned it might be
Allen
like
White, and
maybe like spotlighty as well too.
yeah, it sounds like that's what it's gonna be, but I don't know. I really, as I said, I love Aaron Sorkin scripts. I've read them, I've studied them. Like I'm a big fan. When he directs his own writing, it's a no for me. It's a big fat no for me. He needs to be reined in.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to like be like, Aaron, are we sure we need that extra framing device in Being the Ricardos? No, we don't need it.
Let's get into some alternative pairings that we kind of came up with or kind of had heard recommended.
So my recommendation was Tar, which we deemed as too recent, but I think would have been interesting, especially since I do think that Julia Roberts is channeling the Lydia Tar performance a little bit as Alma in that sort of steeliness and, quest for prestige.
Mm-hmm. I feel like
But too recent.
Too recent. I feel like Call Me by Your Name. We mentioned it earlier. I think it would have been really interesting to pit the two films next to each other to see if we could like just with Call Me by Your Name super fresh, if we could mine that kind of thread of the age gap relationship, but like what do you make of that time period? Is that something that is regrettable in certain senses if the age is not right, you know? Like
I think we totally could have done that again if that reveal had not come at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Like if that reveal was a bigger part of the movie, then yeah, Call Me by Your Name would have been the move. We could have done a double Luca.
Mm-hmm. The Big Picture podcast from The Ringer recommended Crimes and Misdemeanors as a movie that would have a lot of overlap with After the Hunt, as far as just like multiple kind of like relationships going on and perspectives of that. So definitely
yeah, and also the movie starts with the Woody Allen font,
right?
And there are quite a few like Woody Allen homages in this film, but it's not quite as pithy or like funny as a Woody Allen would have been.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Crimes and Misdemeanors. It's a blind spot for me.
I haven't seen it either.
Not sure if I will. I've seen select Woody Allen movies and I have decided to stop. But I've seen what I need to see.
Yeah. Luca Guadagnino and Julia Roberts, I believe, did an interview with the Alamo Drafthouse where they talked about Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, as well as another Woody Allen film, Another Woman. So definitely some to check out. I've wanted to watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf for a long time, so maybe a good excuse for me to.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is great. You should watch. You should get on that. With the starring a real life married couple that had already been married and divorced and remarried. Get on that. Talking about you, Elizabeth Taylor. I'm looking at you, girl. Also I just threw in Lolita because of the age gap stuff and the weird kind of age gap gaze that happens at the end. Yeah. Like where like people are still out here trying to justify Lolita, and I'm like, no,
get over it.
No,
stop.
It's creepy. It's creepy. You sound creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
Well, that's it for us today. If you're listening to us on audio, don't forget to leave a review or comment, and don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Feature Pod. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Feature Pod. Thank you all so much for listening and for watching along. Tune in next week for another movie, another pairing.
Yeah, and if you've listened this far, we're still not going to tell you exactly what it is, but there were some hints in this pod. There were hints. Don't say we didn't show you the hints.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time. Bye.